Make room for Javi.
Okay, folks, today I'm going to set up my insulation roll assembly line. As you saw, I just finished one of those rolls. Now I have to take and cut some more rolls of insulation. In the meantime, I'll regale you with a story. Now let's make some marks. Today's story is about my buddy John. I know a few Johns in my life, and this is the story of electrical engineer John. I met John in high school. I can't remember the details, but I suppose it was through friends who share the same love of computers and electronics. My memories of him in high school mostly involve him creating cool programs on one of his Radio Shack pocket computers. The interest in electronics and computers we shared was the catalyst for a lifetime of long friendship that endures to this very day. November of my freshman year, I got my learner's permit, but it was the following year when I had my license that I had true independence from my family, or so I thought. I remember hanging out at John's house on a nearly daily basis after school days. It was either John's house or Anna and Carlos's house, or often both. I was regaled by his dad of the stories of flying commercial planes as well as many other tales. His mom would always offer me a Sprite and a hot dog or two for lunch, or to join them for dinner, and I, being a high school kid with a healthy appetite, always graciously accepted. The best way I could describe them was this way. I was reminded of John's parents when I first saw the movie Blast from the Past with Christopher Walken and Brendan Fraser. To me, Brendan Fraser's parents were John's parents, the kindest, politest, leave it to Beaver type parents one could ever meet. John and I would share our love of electronics, lasers, CBs, and other communication equipment. We even shared a few classes at FIU in our electrical engineering courses. So let me share one of the many adventures we had, the boat story. As a young adult living with his parents, I had the advantage of saving up money from my various jobs and not having expenses like room and board. I say I had that advantage, but I lacked the maturity. So my earnings went not into savings, but boat payments. I bought a great speedboat for about $18,000 at the time and went on it with my friends quite often. Usually one friend or two would cover the gas and another would buy the sandwiches and chips. This time it was just me and John. Normally I'd head out for the day cruising to one of the islands in Biscayne Bay, but this time I headed up the intercoastal to the ritzy houses you often see in a B-roll on CSI Miami. The reason I chose this route was that a girl I had a crush on, let's call her Diana, introduced to me by a friend, let's call her Brenda, lived in one of those houses. I had seen the house from the inside and I was sure that I could find that dock in her backyard from the outside. I called her to say I may be dropping by and she said we were welcome. Couldn't be that hard, right? Needless to say, I never found her place. While I was searching, however, something unexpected happened. Now, I'm great with navigational charts, and I knew every sandbar in Biscayne Bay and could practically navigate around them with my eyes closed, particularly in my boat with a 1.5-inch draft when on a plane. But the intercoastal was unknown to me. All these waterfront houses had docks. What I didn't realize was that the only deep part was a U-shaped perimeter canal around the houses. Do not traverse the middle. So I'm navigating around and this little speedboat starts passing me. I see this and my stupid testosterone kicks in and I floor the boat to full speed. This guy was no match. I was passing him up past 70 while he was barely doing 30. Then John points forward with a rather funny expression which I identified as fear on his face. I turned from staring at my competition to looking where I should have been looking, which is forward, to find that the water was quickly turning from dark green in front of me to white. I reacted as fast as humanly possible, pulling back the throttle and reversing while simultaneously hitting the button to raise the outdrive. But it was too late. Yeah, it was too late due to this nasty thing I learned about in physics class called momentum. We didn't end up on dry land. We were still in the middle of the water, but in about 3 inches of water on one of the sandbars. The aft part of the boat was teetering on the sandbar. John got out and rocked the boat while I applied full throttle in reverse. I slowly worked my way out of there, meanwhile sandblasting the bottom of the boat and the insides of my intake manifold, but I used the boat engine to pull us out, and we headed back home. Good times. Needless to say, that was my final trip on my 3-year journey of boat ownership. The gimbal bearing was shot. The end of the story was somewhat bittersweet. I hitched the truck as I was going out with a friend on the water the next day. At about 4 a.m., everything was stolen. Long story short, the car insurance paid for the damage on the truck, and the boat insurance paid me enough to pay off the boat loan with quite a bit left over. The adage is true. The two best days in a boat owner's life are the day he buys it and the day he sells it. Thank you for watching. Feel free to comment. I enjoy reading them, particularly when they're pleasant. Please subscribe, and as always, have a great day.
Make room for Javi.